Welcome to my next YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at les verbes en ER et Ger et Cer. This video is actually for beginners or those who are interested in learning conjugations. So the few peculiarities with the GER verb and CER verb is what I'm going to explain in this very video. Okay, so let's get into the business of the day. One thing I needed to establish is that every ER verb is a regular verb. What we mean by a regular verb, their form of conjugations are regular and they have regular pronunciations. So there is a uniform way of pronouncing these verbs, and that is one of the key things you need to know about the ER verbs. Therefore, in French, we have what we call the endings of the verbs, which in the present tense are the following. So we have this as the endings of the verb. Usually, for you to conjugate a verb, you just remove the ER and begin to put in these endings according to the subject, and then you get your conjugation correct. So here, a verb starting with je should end with E. If I was to use parler, parler is going to be like this. Je parle, because of this ending. Tu, the second person, is going to now be ending with ES. For il, the S will go. So this is how the conjugation has been. If you check my previous video on French verbs, you would understand what I'm explaining here. Now, whenever we are conjugating the GER verb, and then we get to this O, NS, there is something that occurs. If I ask you to pronounce GA, you pronounce it ga. If I ask you to pronounce GO, you call it go. If I give you GU, you call it U. Therefore, to keep the uniformity of these pronunciations going, when we get to nous in conjugation, we do not write nous mangeons. If we write this, we are going to pronounce it nous mangeons, which is altering the uniformity in pronunciations. Therefore, we need to keep the E here so that GE will remain J, right? If I give you GE, you call it J. But if it's GA is ga, GO is go, GU is gu. So now, the rule in French is that whenever the endings of a verb conjugation has any of this letter beginning the endings, as we have O in this case, that we should retain the E before the letter G, as we have here, so that the G sound would be retained in the verb, creating a uniformity. So using this illustration, all of this verb is going to sound J, irrespective of their endings. Why? Because this is a regular verb. So I'll have je mange, tu manges, il, elle mange, nous mangeons, vous mangez, il, elle mange. Now is nous mangeons here because we have imported the letter E to keep the G as J instead of G. So that is the peculiarity of the GER verb. This applies to every verb in French that ends with GER. So we have examples of these verbs: partager, which is to share; changer, which is to change, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now note that if we were to conjugate this nous for the verb parler, we shall be having nous parlons. So it's never going to be nous parlons with E, no. So the conjugation should be nous parlons without the E, because we are not referring to LER verbs. We're not referring to LER verbs. This peculiarity only applies to GER verb like manger, partager, changer, and so on and so forth. So the next verb that has a little complication too is the verb commencer, starting with CER verbs. So if you look at commencer, the verb will be conjugated just like every other ER verb, like parler. So here we have commence, 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 commençons, commencer, commence. Alright, but in basic pronunciation, if I give you C-A, you will not call it sa, you call it ka. If I give you C-O, you call it ko. If I give you C-U, we call it ku. Remember the uniformity in pronunciation. For us to now have the C pronounced S, to keep commence, commence, commençons, commencer, we now have to put a cédille. So we have to put this under the C to keep the C sound as S. You remember ça va, comment ça va? So the symbol under the C makes the C pronounced S because of this cédille. Alright, so for the CER verb, like verbs commencer, remember that you have to put the cédille whenever the verb starts with any of these as endings, any of these letters as endings. Here we have O, that's why the cédille is under the C to keep the C as S in pronunciation because of the uniformity. It's a regular verb. Other verbs that are of these forms are placer. You have the verb placer. Okay, remplacer, to replace. Remplacer, to replace. Placer, to like place something. So these are examples of the CER verb. You can check for more details on this group of verb conjugation, the GER verb conjugation and the CER verb conjugations. They have their peculiarity in the present tense at the nu level. For the GER, it retains E to keep the J sound, and for the CER verb, it retains cédille under the C to keep the S sound for the uniformity of the sound. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, share, and put on your notification button for the next video. Au revoir.